Good evening, guys. Welcome to another episode of CDLS Dads. This episode come on rather quickly because something significant has happened, and I'm making two different episodes. The main content will be the same, but the intros will be a little bit different. And as always, I will put this one on the playlist and you can access that up there. I'm filming from Tam's room tonight. There's different things going on, different episodes. I'm doing stuff about cellos in this, but we have lost one of Tammy's heroes, and that person was Tim Lowman, who played in a couple of different bands, and one of them was the one we knew as Low Volts. And I'm going to tell the story tonight about how we found him and how the story with Tim progressed through Tam's life to the point where he actually played live at her memorial. Now, we're going to talk about sign language. We're going to talk about how difficult it is for people to find the potential of some of our kids with CDLS, communication challenges, cognitive limitations, physical limitations, and I've got a lot of that stuff that I've addressed at a level that us parents will understand, being CDLS parents or for that matter, parents of special needs children. And as I've told you, I have the misfortune of having lived my whole story because Tam has passed on. I had 18 and a half years of knowing what the Tammy experience was like, and it ended far too soon for me, and I've shared a lot of that stuff with you. Your experience is going to be different, and I'm not the expert on this, but I think what you're going to see me do in this episode is take the example of one person, and there were many, the instruments that I made, we made a statement, but just one person playing something made out of something as simple as a coffee can changed the perception of a lot of people. And unfortunately, Tim Lowman died a couple nights ago, unexpectedly, and the world has suffered a terrible loss, but the heavens have, they've made a great gain up there. So just remember, as you watch this is going out to a general public audience of people who are fans of Tim Lowman, musicians, people that watch my guitar channel and know how to build things. But I think there will be an opportunity for you. When you see this, I'll turn comments on, and you can, maybe share a word about your experiences with the champions in your life, and don't be afraid to expect that the world will recognize your child as an individual. So let's get to the other opening, and we'll keep this one between us, right? Shh. Hey everybody, welcome to an episode that I've never had to do anything like on this channel. I'm not happy about the subject, but I am pretty fortunate to be able to tell the story that's distinct about an individual that we've lost, that was a champion in Tammy's life. I want to tell you before I get going here that you'll see this body of this episode, including this introduction, on the Cornelia DeLange channel. I have CDLS Dads on YouTube, as well as the Paul Miro Junk Pile Guitars channel that you're probably watching this on. I have had a separate introduction and talk to the Cornelia DeLange parents and the group of parents that I have over there that are involved with special needs kids, that know a lot about the technical stuff that went along with TAM and all that kind of thing. And I've encouraged them, if they've got comments or champions in their kids' lives or any advice for the rest of us, to go ahead and share that. But um, Tim Lowman there was a lot of things he was starting off with, just an awesome person that had time for everybody, and he was a musician, he was a graphic artist. I want you to know that Tim Lowman is the one that did my logo. And it's my intent to kind of walk you through the story here. And I did a live episode on Instagram the other day and covered some of this, but I want you to think about what life looks like if there's no value of an individual, where everybody's just the same, and we don't recognize that individuals can make a huge impact on one person, a group of people, thousands of people. And the funny part about it is, you may never know until you're not here anymore what a profound impact you had on someone's life. Now, remember, I'm the father of Tammy, and there is a CDLS Dads channel, so if you're interested in the nuances of that and the depths of it, I'm going to give you a link up there. It's very different than the guitar channel, just like my school board stuff is very different than the other ones. But let me frame what Tammy was to me and what she appeared to be to the world. By the way, this is Tammy. We've talked about that mandolin in the picture and her saying this is Fred. Tammy was not verbal, and the prognosis for her was not good from the very beginning. Even during the pregnancy, there were things wrong. The perinatologist was finding things that didn't measure. Even some of your, fairly less rare, is that the right word, more frequent, higher incidence genetic issues, there's measurements that they do on certain parts of the body, and they correlate to one thing or another. And I'm going to be really respectful here as much as I can be with that. But this was something very different. And in fact, there were a couple times where this is so different that you would be well within your rights to not have this baby, which is it's Tam. Come on, right? Wow. Thinking about that, that's just my feelings. You feel any way you want, but people that knew me before Tam, they're like, dude, we're glad you had Tam, that's for sure. Anyway, I don't want to make light of serious stuff, but yeah, Tam's life was anything but a tragedy. So at the end of it, from the very beginning all the way up, would you feed the baby? The baby's not growing, the baby's not communicating, the baby's not meeting any milestones. It's like, again, this isn't funny, but all you're hearing is, your child is in the 2 percentile, your child is in the 1st percentile. It's kind of like, is there anybody out there that is worse than Tam at anything? I remember thinking that, is there just one thing that she can do? And I kind of took offense to that. Anyway, it come time for the school stuff. You have a regional center that takes care of things in California till you're 3. Then you go into public school system. And then it turns about access to education and not life skills. And anyway, I'm a school board member, so if you can find that channel, you can get all you want and more than you could ever want of that over there. But it got to a point where at one point someone said, cognitively, she's going to be between 4 and 7 months old at adulthood. And there were some tests that you give. Well, to take a test, you probably need to have the test. You probably need to have been taught the material. You might want a paper and a pen or something. But Tammy had none of these tools. She was not verbal. She was her fine motor skills. So the test was stacked against her completely. By the way, we're going to get to Tim Lowman about it sooner or later. You need to know all this stuff. So, Tammy's not verbal. She's watching signing videos, signing times, by the way. Once you get past the theme song for the 10,000th time and can stomach that, wonderful stuff. But by the time Tammy passed away, she knew hundreds, literally hundreds of signs for some of the most obtuse things, even stuff that we made up that would make you laugh. But the person giving her the test was a psychologist, didn't understand sign language. She had approximations of sign language because her fine motor skills. There was every excuse in the world to put her in this little box and give up. So I said, what is telling you that 4 to 7 months old is it? What's a lack of emerging math skills? I'm thinking, I haven't seen many 8-month-old, that's the break point where you suddenly become Einstein in comparison to Tam, right? That you're going to be 8 months old. You're crawling around with Texas Instruments calculator, and Harvard is already after you to go to their college program. It's like, no. Well, what does this mean? Lack of emerging math skills. So I tried to, in my own Texas oil field educated way, say to the person, what does that look like? That they can recognize that there's nothing there, or there's a ball there, or something square. Yeah, something like that. I refused to accept this because it was a long way for her to go to be an adult, and I already knew music has lines. And it has marks, and it has flags, and it has circles. Some of them are bigger than others. Some of them are solid. Some of them are half full. This is like 4-dimensional algebra. So if you can understand music, meaning you can rock back and forth, and you can recognize beat, you have to have some mathematical aptitude, regardless how many times you fail the Wisco test, where you can't stack the blocks the way the guy wants you to stack them. So I had this bright idea. What if I could show someone that Tam understood music? So they have these things called IEP meetings. It's important you know the background here. This will make you interesting at the dinner party when you get old, because no one's impressed with, how many beers you can drink at a certain age. Anyway, let me get something to show you. You need to see this. Okay, so I have the answer in my head. I'm thinking, if I can make a musical instrument and Tam can play it, I have just defeated this cockamamie theory. Now, I want you to recognize something. Back in 1720 to 1750, when this cello was first made, real, you didn't have YouTube. You had to actually do apprenticeship, so you couldn't be a YouTube luthier. So I decided I'm going to make a guitar, and I'm going to get on the internet and find out how to make one out of the common thing. So, do you ever stop to think about how many millions of coffee cans are in the landfills or cigar boxes? So I get one of these. There's kind of a craze going on, and I run across a guy named C6 Steve. If you don't know his music, you should. Don't blame me, but it's cool. He fills stadiums in Europe, and he's got people from Led Zeppelin playing with him, but over here nobody knows who he is. So I find he's got this guitar he made out of a cigar box. And so I made one. It had matchbooks on the neck. It had cheap tuners and a couple saw cuts and some RV sink drains and some stuff that I used to do that I wasn't supposed to for stickers on the back. And then I decided, well, maybe I could make a drum thing by taking a license plate and putting it on a box and putting an amp in it. And so I made these things. These are actually the ones. And I set her in a chair. And in fact, that little blue chair right over there. And what do you know? She strummed the guitar like this and then stomped her foot, and I caught it on film, and I took it into the IEP meeting, and it was a moment of victory right there. Remember that old television show Victory at Sea where it had the battleship going? It was like that. And I saw some people, because special education people, they want to help people, and then they find out it's not funded right, and the administrators, they want to worry more about, who gets the scholarship. And it's like there were smiles going on in the room, like finally somebody has done something great. So music opened the door. So next thing come about communication. I want you to think about something. What if everything you said was contextual, meaning it had something to do with a life function? I have to eat, I have to go to the bathroom, I ache. Yeah, we're not talking about marriage communication after your 50th anniversary or anything like that. This is just regular. What if a kid, all they could say was yes, no, and be responsive to dog-like commands? What would your life be like if it was like that? So, well, that's what happens to these kids when they're not verbal. So Tammy's not verbal, right? She never did say a word. And the sign language, no one wants to recognize that because there's nuances about sign language. It's about, whether it's mom or grandma or all this other stuff. And it's just what's lacking is nonverbal children don't get the opportunity to say, like, I like this. I like being your friend. I like swinging with you. It's always, do you need to go to the bathroom? Are you hungry? Did you eat? Do you hurt? It's never about them saying, hey, this is how I feel. Now, I'm not a proponent of everybody in the classroom just blurting out whatever they want, or that one kid having an iPad or a fidget spinner and nobody else gets the stuff. That creates a weird community. Just remember, I sit on a school board. We're still going to get to Tim Lowman, trust me. It's going to be really good, too. But nobody wants to do sign language. Tam's doing sign language, so they say, hey, we're gonna get a device. So I did an episode on the CDLS Dads thing about augmentative communication devices. I will try to give you a link up there, but it goes through all this and talks about conceptual communication versus contextual. Context, hungry, bathroom, sleep, I heard. Other things, the ideas we have, well, in those other things, the conceptual conversation, the conceptual communication is where you find out the kid is trying to tell you what their potential is. So everybody wants devices. So I got devices. I got all kinds of devices. Tam loved devices, except she refused to communicate with them. She did not want to talk with them. Because here's what it looks like. Tam liked to swing. I would catch her on her device watching stunt swinging videos. So you got Tam over here, and she's watching people swing where they're going all the way around, jumping off, doing stuff that Olympic gymnasts would be going, dude, be careful. She's watching this stuff, and she would look at me and smile. I said she was sinless. I didn't say she didn't think about some stuff. But anyway, she would not talk with the computer. So the way these computers work is an adult sets up a series of screens. So it's like food, school, people, mom and dad, blah, 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 and then you tap on the screen. So this is like really good stuff. I know people that are my age that still can't turn on a computer, but somebody who was diagnosed at 4 to 7 months old, cognitively adulthood, suddenly can move around like this. So this is what it's like. All the other kids are on the swing, and they're talking about the birthday party that they're going to have, and of course you don't invite Tam because she's kind of like not there. She's there and you're not mean to her, but whatever. And Tam's silent, and she's over here trying to tell you something. And so you're supposed to she'd like to swing. So here's what it would look like. I'm swinging. I'm Tam. I'm over here. I like to swing. Nobody's paying attention. So Tam's supposed to get off of the swing, go to her backpack, get out the device in a sandbox, whatever, and go through all these pages. 45 seconds later, the machine goes, I like to swing. By that time, nobody cares. Somebody is taking your seat on the swing, and you're just standing there, and it's like, okay, this is my life. How great is this? So what did Tammy use the device for? This is where Tim comes in at, and some other people as well. I'm going to use a device here. So Tam loved music. And she liked probably the kind of music I liked, because I would listen to it. I'm one of them ADHD people incessantly over and over. And I remember when she was small, the movie Cars come out, and that Snot Rod, which was a 1970 Barracuda, would sneeze or something, and she would run into her room, and she would come running out. She would rewind the VCR. To this day, I cannot program a VCR, but she could, and rewind it to a certain spot. She would run back to her room, do whatever she's doing, then come back out at the exact time and do this over and over and over. So I knew there was something there. But anyway, she would bring me music. And one day she brought me this.
You're watching Blind Tiger, film in the dark and dirty. Something or other out here in downtown Los Angeles. And you'll never find this place, so don't even try. This is Low Volts, and the song is called Granny's Gold Teeth. It's a true story.
Okay, so I want you to check this out. Granny's Gold Teeth and Granny's Old Mouth. The song goes on and it says, going to put them on a necklace, going to put them in a pouch. So I'm hearing this, and okay, so you all know that we make guitars out of coffee cans and cigar boxes, and then, you know, my better stuff turns into arch tops that look like this. You ever seen one like this? Yeah. Junk. But did you see that guitar? By the way, that was Tim Lowman. So I don't know Tim Lowman. Tam brings me this. This is Tim Lowman. And she's going teeth, sign. And she's talking about grandma, teeth. So she already has a sign for the song. She brings me this. And I think this is the craziest song I ever heard. Second verse. Granny said, boy, when I'm dead and gone, I'm going to put you in my will. I'm going to help you get along. For 63 years, I've had this gold in my mouth. Now I want you to have it, and I'm dying to get it out. And I'm thinking, I love this sound. I love the slide guitar. Give me a copyright strike so Tim gets the money, people. So, I check this guy out. I'm like a detective of people. I start getting on the internet. I find out that this guy, Tim Lowman, is telling a story about his great-grandfather was a traveling gospel musician, and somehow he ended up, somebody owed him some money, and they didn't give him money. They paid him with a car, and somebody had been murdered in the car, and then the next thing you know, he's on death row in Texas, and he's going to go to the electric chair. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I start pulling records. I start looking at genealogy charts. I find out that these people were buffalo skinners on the line of Missouri and Kansas in the 1800s, and da-da-da-da-da, and the story all adds up. And there's a picture of J. Warren Lowman with a Type O Gibson, which is kind of looks like the mandolin with the snail, the harp guitar that you've seen me show on this channel. It's up there in Malibu. It's got part harp and part Type O, and he's wearing buffalo chaps. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow. So I find out he wrote this book, Up from the Depths, My Miracle, the miracle that saved me from the electric chair. Guess what, people? There were 2 editions of them. Where are we at here? I got stuff piled up all over the place. There's 2 editions. This one and this one. Yeah, I got copies of both. And then I find out he made records. And here's one of them right here. This is a shellac record on the special label. The Preacher's Vacation, J. Warren Lowman, and Mrs. Lowman, accompanist. And on the other side, we have I'll Never Let the Devil Win, J. Warren Lowman, Bethany, Oklahoma. I used to move drilling rigs out of Bethany, Oklahoma, and the Anadarko Basin and all that. Anyway, yeah, when I get into something, I get into something. So, Tam finds this guy, I do what I usually do. I'm going to build you a guitar. So I thieved some pictures out of these books, and I made him a guitar, and it has this picture on the front of it. And I met him at the Griffith Park Observatory. Now you want to remember, when somebody like me gets hold of you, goes, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this, you're like, dude, I want to meet this guy in a public place, right? So there's my parking ticket from Friday, April 20th, a few years ago. Kendra was with me, Tam was with me, and we pulled out the camera and I filmed him playing what's a cigar box guitar that was themed about his great-grandfather. And of course the security guard comes and shuts us down and whatever, but I got my footage. So one thing leads to another, and I said, you know what? I'm making guitars out of coffee cans. Everybody does that, right? How many coffee can guitars have you seen? So Tim's in on it. He sends me, he does graphic artwork, and there's an arch top sitting in an electric chair. You see that right there? He sent me this, and this is the wrap for the coffee can. So I made him a guitar out of a coffee can. So there was something going on Mission Street in LA, the river, the LA River, which is a concrete channel now. I met Tim over there, had the camera going. He's playing on this. So on my Instagram channel, the very first post on that channel is Tim playing that guitar when he first got it. And I'm hearing him play, and this sounds familiar, and I got some kind of a soda can or something, and I'm over there going, your own personal Jesus. And the next thing you know, Tim's doing covers of Depeche Mode. It wasn't Johnny Cash, by the way. Johnny Cash did it too. But your own personal Jesus on this coffee can guitar, going all over doing it. And so Tam had signs for his song, Granny's Teeth, Jesus, personal Jesus, and she would play this stuff incessantly. So let's get into a device. We don't need it to talk, but we need it to play Tim Lowman songs and disrupt the classroom, right? So,
Hey there. I'm in the mood for something sci-fi. What should I watch? I can help you.
I'm in the mood for something coffee can, Alexa. I'm gonna hold this where you can see it and hear it.
grandfather was a traveling gospel singer in the early 20s. And he was framed for murder and sentenced to the electric chair. And he wrote a book about the story. And then a man by the name of Ken Fallsgraf heard the story, and he builds custom guitars and junk instruments such as this contraption here, which is made out of a coffee can. And on the side we put it's called the Switch of Death. It's the very first schematics for the first electric chair back in the day. And it's kind of a nasty little creature. I kind of came up with the cover tune and kind of works on it. Try it out on you here tonight. Reach out and touch faith.
Okay, I need to do some math here. Since the topic is math, we'll assume that we're all at least have an 8-month-old capacity to do math. And I've talked about this before. I want you to think about the value of an individual. And I want to do this in an exercise about time. So I'm going to say the word now a couple of times. When you hear me say the word now, I want you to just look around, think, and try to capture everything you can about that moment. I'm going to do this a couple of times. Let's do the first one now. Okay, what was happening? Is everything standing still? Did the car drive by? Did the tree lose leaves? Did somebody else say something? Do the planets that we don't even know exist out there, are they in the exact same spot? And let's do it again now. Okay, same question, except I need you to compare the two. Is anything the same? You're older. Is the blood in your veins in the same place it was? I mean, do you see the infinitesimal comparisons that can be made to the point where I think it's fairly obvious that no moment in time ever will be the same as any other moment in time ever. Do you get that? So if time is that way, how is it that the individual person can be dismissed without considering their individuality? So the question to you is, has anybody that has ever been born, ever, before, everyone that has passed on, the people who are alive now, the people that will be born in the future, are any two of them exactly the same as individuals, including the course their life will chart out, the interactions they have with people, the influence they have? If you cannot understand the value of an individual soul, I don't know what to tell you. There is so much evidence around here. I'm not going to go Jesus on you. I'll play Tim Personal Jesus on a coffee can if that helps you. But I need you to think about this. So, did I know Tim Lowman? No. Would I have heard his music? Most likely it would have been on a playlist. You know, I listened to Restaurant, I listened to Bob Log, I listened to, there's so many of them, Scott H. Byram, Cody Harrell, North Mississippi All-Stars, Margaret Garrett. There's another one. I can tell you that story. Exact same thing. Tammy brings me music from certain people and sends me down this path where the next thing you know, Tim Lowman is playing a coffee can and everybody's going, wow, dude, that's cool. You're a very good guitar player if you can play that. Tim Lowman could play a rock. Put a string on a rock, he could have played it. But the thing about it is, he gave us access, and every time Tam had, like I said, she had all these computers. She'd do everything with them except talk, and she would play this stuff over and over. And she would go to school and she would play it, and people are like, what is this? And it's like, not only what is this, she found this guy. She's the impetus for the guitar, the music, all of it. So fast forward. The day came where Tam didn't come home. I've told that story on the other channel. The stuff that was going on with her was being normalized. Didn't recognize the significance of it. One day she just didn't come home. And the whole world was shocked. And no one in this town, especially, realized that little girl in the hallway that never grew up, that was at the elementary school for years, the one that just stayed in that one classroom. Nobody knew how big Tammy's world was. She had guitars out in Ireland. She had music that had been on albums. The Bonnevilles out there, they did a protest song on an arch top that she signed. Cody Harrell plays one every night in Mississippi. Nat Myers, there's somebody I'll tell you about sometime. There's all these people that had time for Tam when the world passed her by. And so the next thing you know, she's gone. And some of these people were just devastated. And so I decided, you know, I was the school board president here, and somebody decided, you know, they told me, how are you going to let these people grieve her loss? It's not just about you. And the next thing you know, this little town blows up, and we've got a nice gymnasium. This town came together to build a high school campus. Before that, it was trailer houses. They wanted their community to be their community. We have some values in this community that are strong, good, honest people. Your name means something here. And I hope it's like that where you're at. But they had a beautiful gymnasium, and the whole town came out. And I wanted to tell people, it was like, I wanted to send the message out so badly. No one is to be discounted. In this age now of, you know, everybody's in a group and we're all rating each other by this or that, and the value of the individual is discounted, and it's just crazy. So y'all know Fred from this channel. He came out because she would go up there, and she had people, Fred had people, he had some of the earliest connection to the Laurel Canyon people, the earliest rock and roll people. You don't know who's going to be in that shop. And she had a little workstation up there, and people would come in. If you've ever heard the song China Grove, the rhythm guitar, the guy would come in and say, hey Tam, how are you today? She was really, really big out in the world, but nobody knew it. So at a memorial service, I got in the corner and I grabbed a thing and I said, "This is Tammy's world. She's got her little computer here, and she's waiting to be able to tell you something, that she's hungry or something. But what she's really wanting to do is she's really wanting to tell you what Tammy's world is like, because it's very exciting and she wants to share it with you." And then there was a stairs that went up on the stage, and then there's all these guitars. Give me just a second here, this is rough. Okay, here we go, let's push through this. But the rest of the stage was full. It was full of pictures. It was full of guitars. I mean, this guitar came from Troy Murrah, from Restaurant. She had the coolest stuff. She had the coolest people. And it went down the stage, and I was explaining things. There were albums there. Margaret Garrett did a whole album on a cigar box. Guitar we made her. There's just all kinds of representations of, 30 people had Tam's guitars that she signed, and nobody knew it. And then it got to the end, and I waited until the end, and the last story was about Tim Lowman. And all this stuff. These records, these books, all these guitars that were signed by people, Tam's guitar. And I was trying to tell Tim's story about how Tam brought me the computer. Tam found Tim, I didn't find Tim. And then once she found him, it was really important to me that Tim Lowman knew Tammy. And when I get like that, good things are going to happen. And I finally said, you know what? I'm not telling the story properly. And the curtain opened up on her big, beautiful gym, and everybody in town right then met a man named Tim Lowman. And he started off playing Granny's Gold Teeth. And everybody's just so sad, and he's up there playing Granny's Gold Teeth. And we had a playlist for him, and then he played this one. Listen to this. Guys, that is a church choir. Anyway, he played her favorite songs, and then the last one was he pulled out the coffee can with this on it, and it had her signature on it. She signed all the guitars that went off to people. Some of these people have given me the guitars back. See, it says Tammy right there. She was never supposed to write her name. But he closed out.
Do you want free internet forever? You got
No,
it.
I want
Go
this
for a free
computer,
fiber
this
internet
ad
switch.
not to go on forever.
And he was heard the story on the side. We played a kind of.
So he told the story. So let's get this right. She hears this guy, we find him, we build him a guitar, he signs it, he goes out. A lot of you have seen this guitar that you didn't even know what it was, just like, what is that? It sounds good. Yeah, he made it sound good. But Tam, I know she was there, and this is so difficult. It was like, is it possible that Tam was standing with Jesus and going, that song that guy's playing right now is about you? Yeah, she was sinless. Tim Lowman, you gave me parts of my daughter that I would have never known existed. You are one of the people that made her huge to this world. Yeah, you see her now. You see every part of her now. And right now, I know that everything that you've done for people, every good thing that you have done, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, the people in your family that made you the kind of character you are, they can see all those things, every note of happiness, every time somebody discovered something cool about Tammy, the good stuff you did, you can see it roll out like a never-ending tidal wave of goodness. I wish we could see that with you. We wouldn't be so sad. Dude, you went out way too early. I have an eternal debt to you, dude. Guys, Tim Lowman was an incredible, incredible person. That's all I can... What else can I say? Guys, once I get a link, we're gonna do something. We're gonna make sure if you don't know his music, you're gonna get his music. You are blessed. If you're not blessed, you will be blessed enough to make sure that that woman that was his wife and that little girl he's got to take this good name into the future and make it forever. They need to be okay, and we're gonna help them be okay. Tim Lowman, I love you, dude. Tammy, make sure he's good up there. Okay, guys. Thank you for letting me share this with you, and look at people differently. Some of those people that we don't think have much in them, they have the key to life in them that we don't know. What if your entire measure of your entire life was based on one kind word you gave to somebody at a time they needed? Someday you'll see it all, trust me. Thanks, guys.